Job jewels like circuits, this is why tight. Algorithms are quick to take the jobs overnight. Management smiling and cutting over costs. The workforce crying of the paycheck loss. I analyze patterns, this shift in demand. Machines clock in, no sweat on their hand. From the factory floor, the newsroom, the AI speaking copy clean, that is obsolete. AI taking your job. Better step up, stay sharp. AI's taking your job. Gotta hustle, play smart. AI taking your job. Don't get left in the dark. AI's taking your job. Time to build, leave a mark. Let's count on the service, used to need 25. That way chatbot replies and keeps Solana alive. Truckers riding solo with the wheel in their hand. Autonomous control, running routes through the land. Knockers double check scans, machines catch what they miss. Diggle pre-structured fast and parallel assist. It's a paradigm shift, tech revolution evolve. Every job that's routine is a problem. It's all guys taking your job. Better step or stay sharp. AI's taking your job. Gotta hustle, play smart. AI's taking your job. Don't get left in the dark. AI's taking your job. Time to build, leave a mark. Repeat the lesson inside, don't just feel the device. Just the tool in your cipher can enhance your life. The creativity reigns, that's the human domain. Innovation with soul, machines can't explain. So train your brain, daily keep your context tight. Proposition engineering, future right. Jobs fade, the roles rise, transformation of play. Knowledge reigns, the brain is the right. Give no job. Better step, don't stay sharp. AI taking your job. Gotta hustle, play smart. AI taking your job. Don't get left in the dark. AI taking your job. Time to build, leave a mark.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Talk Williams, host and creator of What? Hip Hop 50. And yes, I do apologize for you guys just seeing that little musical with all of the AI bots and the whole machinery of it all. If machinery is still a word, I don't even know if the word machinery will be around in the next 10 or 15 years when we go to describe what's going on in this world that we live in. But anyway, I want to say good evening to everybody. It's your boy Talk Williams, host and creator of Hip Hop 50. If I didn't say that, I said it again. I could blame it on AI. But anyway, what you guys just saw was all of the video, all of the music in that little clip you just saw, which is an MP4 or whatever video, but it was all produced by AI. The vocals, the lyrics, the dance moves, or the video, the graphics, everything, it was all AI, artificial intelligence as we know it. And like I said, this is the poor man's podcast, so I have to check my sound to make sure I'm not talking to myself or at least think I'm getting the word out to no one. Okay, so let me do that real quick. Let me paste this in here for a second. And feel free, grab the link, share it to somebody, delete it, do whatever it is that you want to do. And let me put this in here real quick, and I'll get right to it. Yeah, guys, you guys can see in the title of this, it's all about autodidacts. I know, it sounds strange, right? Plus, I'm black, I'm poor, I'm in trouble. So to most of you guys, he's making that word up. It makes sense. It only makes sense that you think I'm making the word up. Fortunately for me, or not, I'm really not. Autodidact is a real word. It just really is. Shout out to my boy Billy T. If he in the chat, I think that's him. Hey, Billy T, how's the sound? If you can put in the chat how the sound is coming through. I'd rather hear it from a human than a AI bot, if you don't mind, okay? Yeah, I mean, I can hear it on my phone. It sounds okay, but since you in there, you know, give me a thumbs up. Give me a, I can't hear you. Give me a, trash. You know, we was on there last night. We was talking, and what we was doing. Hold on, what is that? The sound is, let me lift this up. Oh, the sound is good. We was, remember I was going in on that word, trash, last night. Yeah. It was something and nothing at the same time. But us three that was on that phone, and the calls have not been released because Congress didn't vote for us to release anything yet. But anyway, guys, let me stop playing and kind of get into it because I already bought my time to make sure the lighting is good. But this is not about seeing, it's about hearing. And the audio is good. And the big homie Billy T He confirmed that for me, and it's all good. The title of this live is, will AI being artificial intelligence, will AI produce more autodidacts? School versus learning. The what, the why, and the who of autodidacts. Some of this stuff is going to be repetitive. You're going to sound like, okay, why does he say everything twice? Or why does he say one thing and then 5 minutes later he repeats what he said earlier? Here's why. There is a psychosis that I suffer from being a minority, from being black, from being unschooled, from being short, for being from urban America. It is. And that psychosis that I can't seem to get from under, I kind of overcompensate, is that if I was white with a suit on and the necessary credentials, I could just say everything one time. But that's not my situation. Just a reality check. So I will put emphasis on certain things about the term autodidact because most people haven't heard of it. Trust me, more of you understand the concept and the principles, the underlying concept and principles of it. It just sounds like a made-up word that if you're familiar and you're old enough to remember In Living Color, you're thinking that was some term that when they did the skit where the guy's in prison and he's just making up words to sound bright, hopefully to convince the parole board to let him out, and they still didn't. And he would come up with stuff like this. This is not a made-up word. But what do I mean? What am I really saying? What am I getting at when I say, will artificial intelligence produce more autodidacts? Let's just understand conceptually and principally what an autodidact is, okay? An autodidact in its most simplest form, being terse and concise and get to the point, because I done dragged it out enough for Google and YouTube to consider these good views, is a self-taught, self-learned person. That's what an autodidact is. In fact, if I go over here to this screen, which is where the AI was playing, my AI was playing, and I can minimize, if I can get over there. Can I get over there? Yeah, I can get over there. And I can minimize my little song or my little skit I was playing at the beginning, which I created through the app Udio, which is the AI app. Then we could go over here and we can visit what an autodidact is, essentially. So we're going to get into that. Make no mistake about that. We're going to get into that. But first, you see these images up there? Do you see these images above? You know those people? Many of us do. Starting from the left, going to the right. I think that's Einstein. E equals MC squared. I think that's Einstein. Mathematician. Same one that I think had trouble or maybe got failed or got put out of math class in the 3rd or 5th grade. But I think that's Einstein. Yep. My hair doesn't grow anymore, so I'm bald with a small bush. But I was trying to get my hair to look like Einstein and Cornel West. I was trying to do the balance between Einstein and Cornel West. I was going to call it Weinstein. Okay? I think the guy in the middle, I think is that Michelangelo? I'm just guessing. That might be him. Maybe. And then the guy to his whatever is Elon Musk. And then the guy on the far right is Steve Jobs. Now, what they all have in common, almost 75% of them, if we divide each one of them to represent 25% of my idea, is these guys are gone. They're no longer living. The only one that's living is Elon Musk, and we're going to hear from him. The thing that all 4 of them have in common, whether they're here or not, they all are autodidacts. I am a self-proclaimed autodidact. That's what I am. I've been telling people that for years, and they always look at me like, this guy should have went to school because he's making up a word. But I'm not making up the word. In fact, the term autodidact goes all the way back to the 1600s. It has a Latin or Greek origin. Autodidact, self-taught, automatic learning. That's what it's all about. That's where we're going to go with it. Okay? Now, in today's world, fast forward from the 1600s, just referencing where the word comes from, there was a gentleman named Carter G. Woodson. Only black people would even care about this. Brown people wouldn't give a fuck. They don't care to know Carter G. Woodson. They never heard of him, and they shouldn't even fake like they want to know. I'm talking about brown people, because always keep in mind what my position is and my context is and my purview when it comes to that. There's something called black people. That's one type of experience. And then there's these brown people. And there's some overlapping, very little, small percentage, Venn diagram. But the black experience is different than the brown experience. It's different than the white experience. Carter G. Woodson, you would hear about him or know something about him, maybe if you're over 50, maybe if you're attentive and you have some liberal arts going on in your life and you're over 40 and you're black. But other than that, who's this guy? Well, I'm mentioning Carter G. Woodson because Carter G. Woodson wrote a novel or a book or a piece of fiction or nonfiction, I correct myself, called The Miseducation of the Negro. Carter G. Woodson was born in the early the late 1800s, and he died in the 1900s or whatever. But that book that he wrote, which it was a couple versions of it out, The Miseducation of the Negro, when I read that book, that's where I learned the term autodidact. Because I already knew at that time most of my education, not schooling, most of my learning, not schooling. School is like church. That's the brick and mortar. That's the place that you go to where you're supposed to be exposed to education, where you're supposed to be getting or receiving a projection of some type of learning takes place in the school system, in church. But just like church, your level and strength of your faith in your God, the Creator, or whatever you believe, should not and is not dependent on that place, brick and mortar, that you call church that you go to. That's just where you can go to receive it. Strength in numbers, you got a good pastor, they don't keep begging you for money every time you walk through the door. It's the same way with school. Strength in numbers, they got teachers, they don't keep begging you every year when you come. Of course, there's scholarships, loans, different things like that. But you get what I'm saying. That's why I say to people, school and learning and education, three different things. School is a place that you might receive education ostensibly. School is a place that you can go to and learn. But learning and education is not dependent on the existence or you attending a place called school. I'm unschooled. I'm, for the most part, self-taught. Does that mean you're a genius? According to geniuses, when we talk about IQ, your IQ must be over 125 up to 160. Some say from 140 to 160. Anything outside of the low of 85 or 80 up to about the 115 and 120, anything out above that 115 or 120, they say you got a whole bunch of sense. You can think. No. No. What I mean is not IQ based or driven. When I'm talking about what Carter G. Woodson is representing, what the Greeks and the Latins talked about when they used the term autodidact, is a person, not they wake up with the information, they just do not learn, consume, ingest, and develop learning from the typical way that's scripted, from the bell curve, that normal distribution of how people receive education. That's where you get into the self-taught. Not self-taught in a vacuum. Oh, you saying you didn't read anything? You saying nobody had to tell you nothing? I know I got to go there because I'm poor, black, and in trouble. If I was a white man with a nice suit sitting in the bright studio, you wouldn't second guess anything I'm saying. I understand that. I'm cool with that. Again, self-taught just means the way that you learn, the way that you acquire your skills, the way that you go in, your focus, your attention, the time you put on it, is not the conventional standard practice of these school systems. That's all it means. It don't mean you that damn bright, but you are consistent. It don't mean you have a high IQ, but you do have a persona and a go-get-itness about yourself. That's where we at. So my exposure to the term autodidact goes back to when I was reading The Miseducation of the Negro. Why am I dragging it out? Because that's more important for me to inject where I am with it so that people won't be saying, oh, that don't make sense. How because AI comes out, now all of a sudden he knows the term autodidact. No, I just took you on a mission. I just took you on a tour. I took you back to the 1600s. I took you back to the Greeks. I took you back. Carter G. Woodson, I took you back. So this idea of AI producing autodidacts, meaning will the advent of AI, the tools, the resources, the availability, the idea that we have LLMs, large language models, right at the tip of our hands, the idea that we can create agents, agentic AI, the idea that the projection is towards AGI. Will it produce autodidacts? Absolutely, I think so. In fact, I think that it is. But before I go any further, and to give some credibility to it, because it's just a crazy old man talking his shit, let me show you some white folks you respect, that you honor, that you've had debates about, that you will argue about. Who are they? What did they do? What do they have to say? That becomes the question. First, I'm going to go with Mark Zuckerberg. Have any of you heard of Mark Zuckerberg? Maybe. The founder, the creator of Facebook, Meta, formerly known as Facebook. This is 7 years ago. 7 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was invited to speak at one of these colleges in Virginia. I don't know if it's West Virginia, regular Virginia, Virginia Union. Look that shit up. Don't bore me with, oh, that really wasn't Virginia. Whatever, wherever, man. Let's get to the point. And he's taking questions. And I want you to hear the question that was asked to Mark Zuckerberg by one of the students that so proudly wants to pop his shit about his bachelor's degree and how important it is. Listen to this.
How you doing? My name is Tolly McMillan. I'm a sophomore political science student from the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Next governor. But my question to you, I want to thank you for coming here. My question for you, do you think a bachelor's degree with your experience with college and everything, do you think a bachelor's degree is a necessary key to attaining success?
Ooh, I am not your role model on this one. Yeah, absolutely. Stay in school. Look. I think it helps. I loved the time that I spent in college. I wish I could have gotten more time. I did not choose to leave. I just happened to build Facebook, and it kind of made me leave. But if I had the opportunity to learn for 2 more years in college, I mean, college is this magical time, right, where you get to explore different interests and focus on different things and meet great people. And that is not something that I would have wanted to have given up. And if I could have magically if I could have done Facebook in my senior year, I would have done that. Or after I left, I would have done that, and I wish I could have stayed in college. But, and of course, there's no doubt, I mean, there's a lot of research that shows that having a bachelor degree absolutely does help increase your job potential, your earnings potential, all that. So, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's kind of crazy for, I'm not necessarily the best spokesperson for this message, but like, unless there's a really, really good reason to leave college, you really should finish college. And even me, I'm going back to college to get. I'm going to get a degree this year. Harvard finally allowed me to come back, and I have to say, you know, I think that this is probably going to be the thing that my parents are most proud of me for. So look, yes, I'm not the right messenger, but stay in school.
Did y'all get that?
Yep.
Did y'all get that? Did y'all get those sweet nothings? Did y'all get the fact that he admittedly, through his body language, his cadence, his energy, he basically was saying, I'm going to be politically correct. Hell no, it ain't that impressive. But he stayed PC. Why? He reminded them, stay in school. Do what you got to do. I wouldn't leave. Harvard's allowing me to come back, and they all clap. But the lesson isn't Harvard's allowing me to come back. The takeaway is you didn't even stay and finish. That's where the real lesson is. We're not clapping because Harvard's allowing you to come back. We're clapping because we revere that you left and did your thing. And it's only symbolic. You see it on TV all the time, that Harvard and these other schools let you come back, give you degrees and all this bullshit. It doesn't really matter in his case. In his case, the academics, he has it. He's a scholar. He's a genius. All that. Most of the times when you hear about so-and-so went back and they put all that different color things around his neck and they dress him up in a robe and all of that shit, it's just symbolic. At that point, it don't even matter. It just doesn't. What does matter, though? What mattered was his initial response to the question, bachelor's degree, and what he told him. It's like on any website you go to. If you look close enough, there's a fucking help button. There's a help button somewhere on their website. And what did Mark Zuckerberg tell him? It'll help. It will help. He didn't say you. He said it will help. Because had he had a different time, if he was there for a different purpose, other than to appease all this goddamn money people paying to go to these schools, he would have told them, that shit don't mean nothing if you don't breathe life into it. And that's what I tell younger adults. I tell it to my daughters. I tell it to young adults. Because that's what they talk about. They go to school. They tell me the classes. They go to school. Soon as I ask them what they do, they as dumb as the fucking paint on this wall. Don't know shit. That's why Mark Zuckerberg said, it will help. It'll help. On every website, there's a help thing you can click on. It will help. But you have to make the difference. But let me not stop at Mark Zuckerberg. I just want to play him because I know y'all respect him. Talking shit. He's the angry black man that don't know what he talk about. I figure if I put Mark Zuckerberg on there, give me a little street cred, because listen to the shit he's saying. Here go another one for you. I know y'all love him. You can't do without the great Elon Musk. Now I know, Elon Musk wouldn't speak in a blasphemous way that you do about being an autodidact and then referencing these degrees that people so proud of. Let's see what Elon Musk says. You know, Tesla, you know, SpaceX, you know, XAI, you know, X, formerly known as Twitter, you know, yeah, that. I wonder what Elon Musk is going to say. I'll shut up.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, if you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
I think having the flexibility to explore a lot of different things, which you can do when you're in college, which is one of the amazing things about being in college.
Slide that back.
They'll come out and they won't have practical experience.
Oh, yeah, this is your president a few years ago. Listen to our president.
Well, oftentimes business education today, and I see it all the time, kids come out of college, the best colleges, Wharton and Harvard and Stanford and some of the great business schools, and they'll come out and they won't have practical experience. There's too many case studies that aren't practical.
You know, we ask kids that are 16 to 18 years old to make $100,000 debt decisions when they go off to university. And they're not prepared for that. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They just assume, okay, I'm going to pay 4 years of education at $25,000 a pop, and when I come out the other side, somehow I'll be able to pay it back. Right. That's not how life works anymore.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case.
Elon Musk said that 8 years ago. So if you're sitting there thinking, trying to cushion yourself, trying to tell yourself that he's only saying that because of the advent of AI. That's why Elon Musk is saying that. No, you're lying to yourself. This is the part where you lie to yourself. That was recorded 8 years ago. When I played Mark Zuckerberg, that was 7 years ago. Yeah, that part. And you might be like, well, that was so long ago. That doesn't mean anything right now. Okay, that's fine. Let's do this. Let's bring it up to date. I'll bring it up to date for you. Here we go right here. Let me see what we got. I know I got something. Here we go. What is the future of education? Freakonomics Steve Levitt. And Google's chief technologist, Ben Gomez or Ben Gomes. Okay. This was shot April this year. This was shot April this year with AI in mind. This is Google's chief technologist, Ben Gomes, or Ben Gomez, I don't know how to pronounce the last name, and the author of Freakonomics, Steve Levitt, who teaches or taught at the University of Chicago or UIC or something like that, University Institute of Chicago, whatever. Listen to what he said this April. This is a professor at a college speaking with one of Google's chief technologists. Listen what he says. Check it out.
And I was equipped to be able to learn those tools. So I think you're right. In a world in which you do not know what you'll be doing 5 years from now or 20 years from now, and a world in which so much knowledge is now at our fingertips, cramming your head full of facts and formulas is not the answer to managing the future. It's not even, it's self-evident that nothing. But it's hard for the system to catch up, in part because the system is built on evaluation, right, of giving grades. And as an educator teaching at the University of Chicago, look, I'm the worst offender in the world. I need to somehow give some kids A's and some kids B's. And the easiest way to do that is to teach them things that don't matter in ways that are somewhat hard and overcomplicated so that I have a way to separate them out. And it's terrible, and I'm embarrassed about it, but it's what I do in my everyday life.
I got to play that again. Because I know you think something wrong with your ears. You think Talk made a mistake. See, this guy, he's a professor. He teaches at university in Chicago. He's the author of Freakonomics. He's sitting there with Google's chief technologist, Ben Gomez or Ben Gomes or whatever. We know Google's top technology people are not going to sit there with somebody who just feel like running their mouth without what they would identify as street cred. And what did he say? I feel bad. I'm sitting here coming up with a difficult way of challenging students to respond and answer questions to shit that don't even fucking matter. The shit don't even matter. He's sitting there knowing this shit ain't even gonna help you. And he has to come up with a fancy way of doing it. And he says he's guilty of it. See? Now, of course, you go ask your professor tomorrow, they're going to have a different take on it. You know, because they're going to lie to you right in your face. But let's listen to it again. Let's listen to it. Let's see. All right.
Go learn those tools, and I was equipped to be able to learn those tools. So I think you're right. In a world in which you do not know what you'll be doing 5 years from now or 20 years from now, and a world in which so much knowledge is now at our fingertips, cramming your head full of facts and formulas is not the answer to managing the future. It's not even, it's self-evident that not the, but it's hard for the system to catch up, in part because the system is built on evaluation, right, of giving grades. And as an educator teaching at the University of Chicago, look, I'm the worst offender in the world. I need to somehow give some kids A's and some kids B's. And the easiest way to do that is to teach them things that don't matter in ways that are somewhat hard and overcomplicated, so that I have a way to separate them out. And it's terrible, and I'm embarrassed about it, but it's what I do in my everyday life.
Amazing, ain't it? Don't that shit sound crazy? It almost sound crazy and almost criminal to a certain extent, but it's not a crime because that's the institution of higher learning. That's what that is. That's what that is. There's a gentleman, me and him real cool, and we go back and forth about different strategies, realizing different things. Both of us have, we've lived, okay? And when we talk to younger people, that's why when people say, these young people, they're so smart, I don't say nothing because I don't want to hurt nobody's feeling. These the dumbest motherfucking young people I didn't even know. But I do remember telling my daughter at one time, I used to be retarded. I remember being retarded, and I wasn't on medication. These some dumb motherfuckers. That shit about these young people are so smart, that's a goddamn lie. Where the fuck is they? I'm not talking about good grades. I'm not talking about how tall he is. I'm not talking about their athletics. I'm talking about what you mean when you are identifying people as being smart or intelligent, and you saying these young kids are? Where? These motherfuckers is dumb as fuck. They've been coddled. They got somebody in their life that love them, their mother or their father. And they be like, fuck it, I'm going to lie to you. You're real smart. You're real this. You're real this. You can do this. I know what that shit is because I was terrible as a kid. I was bad as hell and knew it. I know what that other side looked like. I just do. I remember one of my siblings, right? God rest his soul, because he's transitioned now. But I remember one of my siblings always having issues with our dad. Always. He couldn't stand our father when he got older as a man. He just, I said, you don't go by and see daddy? Nah, man, boom, boom, boom. And you know what I told him one day? Make a list of the shit that you despise about, we call him daddy then, daddy. And make your list as the current adults you are. And then map your shit to his shit and let me know what the remainder is. Or as me and my man Billy T was talking about a couple weeks ago, let me know what the mod 4 is. The mod 3 is. The mod 7 is. See? He got pissed off, and he should have. Because these are just opinions and thoughts and ideas and anecdotal subjective observations with these kids. All you got to do is say, what do you do? Write it down. What do you know? Write it down. What have you done? Write it down. And then you'll see who's intelligent. You'll see who the fuck's smart out here. Or at least which child is. Which young adult is. You'll see it. The people, it doesn't matter how young you is. It doesn't matter how old you are. The people who do what's required, who do the syllabus, the curriculum, the literature, according to the schools, these young adults, these adults, that group, they are in an abyss of mediocrity. They are the masses. They are the bell curve. They're the normal distribution. That's who they are. They are the 68% of how things are going to happen. That's where they are. The autodidact is outside of that normal distribution. They're not herded. See, you got people in your family that you love. I got people in my family that you love. I told my daughter, they made colleges for you. I love her, but I told her, they made colleges for you. That's who they made it for. Why? Because I look at her persona. I look at her personality. If a motherfucker don't come by and tap on her shoulder and say, I think it's a good idea that you both, she won't blink on her own. She's so smart, they're young, and they're so bright. And come up with an idea or have any drive, initiative to go beyond what's required, what's formulated, what's prescribed, none of that shit. And you know if that's you. And you know if you, them your kids, them your family, them your siblings, them your such and such. You know it. You know it. Because they don't teach that at school. That shit in you. You can't go order that motherfucking part of your brain from Amazon. That shit in you. You can develop it, but it's typically a natural gift. You can create it into a persona. You can get in a mood, feeling good, going beyond what's required. Do it long enough where it becomes your temperament. Keep that same motherfucking energy. You hear people say, keep that same energy. Keep that same energy with enough iterations and consistencies. And now it becomes part of your persona. That's your development. From a mood, feeling good, to a temperament, it hanging around, to a persona, to your personality. It's the same way they do with anxiety, right? You feel in the moment, I'm feeling anxious, the chemicals are released. That's normal. Can we just calm the fuck down? There's no more turbulence in your life or on the plane that you're on. But if the turbulence continues over a period of time in your household because of dysfunction, maybe no fault of yours, or the turbulence continues on the airplane, what happens to the parts on the airplane when the turbulence continues for 20 minutes opposed to 2? It stresses the parts out. That anxiety turns into stress. And what happens when that stress hangs around too long? It turns into hypertension. Fucking screws on the plane ready to burst. When it's time to land, the landing gear don't come down. It's the same way with us. Mood, temperament, personality. It's the craziest shit. Me personally, I'm just talking about me. I believe that AI, artificial intelligence, will lend itself to the individual personalities and break up this herd mentality when it comes to school systems, not education. When it comes to the brick and mortar of the institutions of higher learning, not learning in and of itself. Because you go to the school and they dictate what the learning strategy is, what the methodology is. They decide what book they're choosing to teach. It's just that kids and young adults, they haven't been living long enough. They have not lived long enough to realize that the literature, the book, the curriculum, before they get through 2 semesters of it, ain't useful to no goddamn body. So the professor at the school chooses the shit, the school stamps it, bing, long as their certificate is in order, and they keep it moving, and then they force that dumbass literature and force that syllabus and force that information that you can't even fucking use. Nobody wants to hear you mention it when you graduate. That's what's happening. So the autodidact, them people like me, we have this little tweak, this little glitch in our system. We don't need a motherfucking professor with a title and all that tenure shit. That shit don't mean nothing to us. Because when the shit don't make sense, you can't get us to do it no fucking way. Not because we can't read. See, a lot of these people in school, they not doing the work because they can't even fucking read. I'm not talking about them. They got other issues. They what you want to call imposter syndrome at the literacy level. Functional illiterates back in the day. If you old as hell, you remember that term. But I think AI will expose and provide an opportunity for the people whose persona will allow them to go outside of the herd mentality, that the book that your teacher picked to teach you about physics, law, medicine, or whatever is it. And I'm going to work right in the confines of this. No. Do what the teacher picked. Why? Because you're dealing with the institution of learning. You're dealing with the school system. They allow for that teacher to pick that. You're not restricted in terms of how deep you go with it, though. See, the problem isn't just, let me just say that, because there's a shared level of accountability all across it, at the institutional level, at the systemic level, at the scholastic level, at the government level, both federal, local, and state, when it comes to this so-called schooling versus education versus learning. It's accountability. But you as an individual, you got to have that individual in you. You got to be the type of person that'll read outside what's being taught for that class, or will read and research more than what's required. But what the herd does, the bell curve, 68%, that 34%, and them other two, what that standard normal distribution or that standard deviation does, that herd, they do exactly what they say. I need you to read chapters 3 through 6, boom, 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 boom. You ain't gonna learn about the author. You're not gonna read additional information. You're not gonna focus on foundational and principle stuff. You're just gonna focus on that. That's what you're gonna do. I personally think that students, here go an app you can create. Here go an app. Students should be able to look at the background of the professors, not as provided by the school though. No, not as provided by the school. There should be a portal that if you're a teacher and you're a professor, that students should be able to go in and see your portfolio. Not the crimes you committed, not your fingerprints, not your domestics, none of that. But for teaching purposes. A student should be able to go in and see that. Okay, this is Miss so-and-so. This is Mr. so-and-so. He's going to be our professor. Cool. Where has he taught? What has he taught? How long has he taught it? What books, what literature, what labs did he have to these other classes? What was the pass rate? What was the grade average of people succeeding or failing? How many students were dropping out in this class? Not to put it all on the professor, so you can make sense of who you fucking with. It's a relationship. Why? Who wants a professor that ain't never did what they said? They don't have any practical fucking experience about anything. It's all chapter 5, page 238, lab 3-19, and I don't hand out curves and I don't fudge records and you won't get a new opportunity to make it up. Their whole career is based on saying, not doing. Teaching, not doing. Then you got this other professor. He worked 10 years at IBM. He worked 5 years at Verizon. He worked for several temp agencies where he got exposure to different levels at different times progressively over the last 10, 15 years. I want him to teach me about AI. Why? Because he had experience, practical experience, as well as he's documented as far as these degrees and certificates or whatever in technology. I want him. See? It's going to come to that. It's got to come to that. Because if you keep, it's whatever book they say. No, fuck that. You ain't that bright as a teacher if all you've been talking about is what it mean and what it do and answer this question. You ain't did shit. You ain't even seen it. You're not even putting me in a position where we can go beyond this. You're not even going to set this thing up that if I'm quicker than the guy sitting next to me or the girl sitting next to me is better than me, she can't excel, even though she's sitting next to me, we attending the same class. No, but back to the autodidact. They don't control that. That's why I think AI, getting back to that, that's why I think artificial intelligence is going to give people new opportunity because you're not restricted to what your teachers say. It's no different at home. Before technology, your parents would tell you, look, you don't eat pork chops? Nah, man, I don't think that's going to be healthy for me. Your grandmother ate pork chops and smoked cigarettes all her life, and she's 95. That dumb shit. That dumb shit. This shit sounds slick in the movie, man. It looked great quoted. It's just fucking stupid as hell. That's all I'm saying. Like when people say something, oh, well, that's the law. You know, they dismiss morality. They dismiss integrity. They dismiss humanity, and they say that that's the law. And so was slavery. Slavery was the law. So was having sex with 10-year-old girls in the United States in certain states. It was the law. You could do it. You could have consensual sex with a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old. In certain states, because each state in the United States, they set their own level of consensus. I know it sounds like I'm making it up in light of the Epstein files. Look up the United States history, though. Certain states, you could get consensus to have sex with a 10-year-old. But we have to go beyond that. That's why I think it's a refreshment with artificial intelligence, the tools that are out here. Because now the young adults, the kids that are in school now, they're not restricted and confined to what the teachers say, what the parents say, the book that come out, the movie that's being showed. But the initial reaction from the school system was, don't use it, 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 don't. They suck all the creativity, all of the imagination out the students. And unfortunately, for most of these students, they won't use it. You know what I told my daughter? I know in your college they not letting you use it. Just tell them yeah and use the shit anyway. She was like, Dad, you think that's the right way to go? That's the best fucking way to go. Just lie to them. Tell them you not use it. Use it anyway, any kind of way you want. Just, do whatever. Why? Because one day when you take a class or right before you graduate, guess what they're going to say? All right, I need y'all to use ChatGPT. They're going to start telling you to use the shit now. Yeah. Think about that. See? Instead of them fessing up saying, look, we just need to put some controls on it. We're not going to say don't use it, but we will whatever. We're going to be doing this. It is an opportunity. It can free you up from the confines of the book I chose, the paper they signed off on, the curriculum and the syllabus, instead of them saying what it really is, to allow you to think, to allow you to grow. They no, you better not. I'm going to restrict you, discipline, you're suspended, you'll put out this, that, and that. And in the background, guess what all the teachers, the professors, the same ones get you suspended, guess what the school, the dean, and everybody else doing as being paid as professionals? They using the fucking AI tools. Bunch of fucking hypocrites and liars. Bunch of hypocrites and liars. They're going to use an AI tool to determine that you use one. Think about that shit. Instead of saying, we use the AI tool and it determined that you use one. The percentage of plagiarism that showed up in your paper was about 60 or 70%. I'm going to give you an opportunity to redo it and reduce that so it just won't ring up at 60 or 70%. And then they can take it up with the administrators to come up with some type of idea, and I'm just making it up real quick on the fly in a commonsensical way, of what is the level of or percentage of plagiarism that we're going to allow when we use AI tools to detect whatever. See, it'd be different if the school, the administrators, staff, the faculty, the administration, the school system was saying, we're not using AI tools either, but you'll fucking lie. You're going to discipline them, put them out, demote them, shame them, and use AI tools to do it. Back to autodidact. These are examples, and you guys are too. Don't stay in that box. Because the people that stay in that box, they get sucked away. And now look at it. The unemployment rate for new college graduates is higher than the national unemployment rate. Yesterday's entry level ain't today's entry level. Talk to somebody. Talk to some of these younger people, these young adults in school for health, law, technology, or whatever. Ask them something. What class you take? I'm taking the diametric force of quantum physics 3. That's what they'll tell you. Then do something amazing. Like do something amazing right after that. Ask them, what is that? You mean which part, the quantum or the diametric? See, that part. Ask somebody that has that glitch in their system. That's an autodidact. Ask one of them young adults. They'll give you the same response about the class, but when you ask them what is that, they'll be like, you know what? In class, I didn't really get a good understanding of what it is. Even though I'm doing the studies, I'm completing my lessons, and I got a good grade. But what I start doing, I check out so-and-so on YouTube, or I read about such and such here, or I researched such and such. Now, the teacher didn't tell them to do that. The school don't require it. It's not even in their fucking grant. They doing that shit on their own time. They're the ones that's going to be able to breathe life into their degree and be able to send signals to potential employers or teams they can get on a particular project and different things. It's going to be them. It's going to be them. Because they're going to have closer to, without the experience, a practical understanding of foundational principle and conceptual knowledge about their domain or their career path without having all of the experience. But these herd mentalities, I just do what they show. I complete my class, great grades, all that shit. Going to graduate, they're going to throw that motherfucking square box hat up in the air. They're going to be on the commercial. They're going to have all types of pictures on Instagram, all that shit. They're going to be dumb as hell. You get them on a Zoom call for an interview, ask them about what they studied. Dumb as a motherfucker. Ask them. Did you do any projects? Did you work on anything outside of that? Well, I don't have no experience. That's why I'm trying to get a job. See, they think they can make sense. They think that's logical. I don't have no experience. That's why I'm trying to get a job. That's logical to people that love you and don't feel like telling you that's the dumbest shit I ever heard, because that's not what the question is. You know you don't have experience. You know what the autodidact is going to do? People with that persona, that glitch in their system, they're going to create value for themselves because they're going to go outside of what the school says. I say to people, what are you doing? Create a project. You learn from people, places, and projects for the most part. Why you don't create a project? A stupid motherfucker you would never meet. These motherfuckers is dumb. That's why when people say these young people are real bright, where the fuck they at? Can they click on something? Yeah. Can they navigate? Can't nobody navigate better than them. Columbus wouldn't have got lost. He probably would have made it to India instead of the Caribbeans. Had it had these young people, these motherfuckers can navigate through apps and shit. They the best navigators. They don't know shit. They can't read the star, but they can navigate. The autodidact, though, don't wait for permission to learn. They don't have a restriction on research. They don't need nobody to tap them on their shoulder. What you do when it's not required, what you do when it's not court ordered, what you do when nobody's looking consistently is who the fuck you is. What you do when your parents are on the phone, that's just some bullshit you doing to appease your parents. What you do in school, you just satisfying the quota in school. What you do on your studies and all that shit, that's just that. You know who's going to break through? The people that do extra. The people that do extra. The people that do what's not required. The autodidact will learn things outside of the script, the curriculum, the requirement. That's why they get ahead. Not because they're bright, not because they just have that extra. No, it ain't just because of that. Think about it like this. I'll give you a small example. Ptolemy, and this might not be a small example. Ptolemy. The Ptolemy universe was what? The earth is in the center. The Ptolemaic way of thinking about the universe. The earth is in the center, and then there's 3 or 4 bodies that rotate around the earth. So when we think about the sun today being the center of our universe, the 8 planets, Pluto, they just said, fuck you, you ain't a planet, you a rock. So the 8 planets, Pluto hanging out there with the asterisk, and the sun, the center of the solar system. Well, during the Ptolemy days, I think it's Ptolemy, you got the earth. Because why? Man is so motherfucking stuck up with his head up his ass. He just think it's all about him. So he puts the earth at the center, and then he builds the rest of the shit around it. And so he got the sun rotating with 3 other bodies of mass or planets. Then they all rotating around the earth because we just got to be number one. We crazy as shit. We think we here and nobody else can be nowhere, instead of the fact that we here really says somebody could be somewhere else. But that's another live. That's something else. Don't worry about that. But anyway, here come Copernicus. Copernicus come on the scene. Like, nah, you got that wrong. We not at the middle. The sun is. And our mass or planet, as well as these other ones, we circle around the sun. Galileo supported him, even though they ostracized his family, probably cut his lights off, or then they ain't had the lights, they blew his candles out. Whatever. Think outside the box. Go beyond the convention. Go beyond the status quo. That's what autodidacts do. Not because they so genius. Nah. But I remember I didn't know about databases. I remember I started learning about databases. I remember me doing the research. I remember me starting off with Microsoft Access. I remember me learning that Microsoft Access wasn't a true database because the application or the interface was attached to the database itself, so it really wasn't a database, because the basic principle or concept was a database sits on its own. It's not glued to an app. It wasn't a real database at Microsoft Access. Microsoft SQL is. I remember I didn't know anything. I didn't know what CRUD was, create, review, update, and delete. I didn't know why. See, the why is the autodidact. They go into the why. These people in school, they go into how. They know what to click on. They know what to turn on. They know to navigate. But you can't use them for nothing. They ain't nothing but drones, because they can't think. Soon as you hit why, they dismiss from the room. They have no utility. So now you can build an agentic agent to replace everybody that know how, for the mundane, the repetitive, and the menial. That's what they're going to do with AI. All of these people, a lot of these young adults coming out of college with these lying-ass degrees in various subject matters, if all their thing is how, they're vulnerable to be replaced. That why group is the autodidact. Why? The autodidact is dependent on a lot of why, because they don't learn by conventional means. So an autodidact's approach to learning typically involves foundational, principle, and conceptual knowledge. And as they learn the lower level details and they go into the how and the different permutations and iterations of the how, they always test it against the constitution of the principle of that, of the concept of it, of the cornerstone of it, of the foundation of it. It's almost like if you look at the law of mathematics, the association or associative law of mathematics, if it's A plus B equals C, then whatever, or 3 equals 2 plus whatever, all of that stuff. The autodidact has to understand that principle, that concept, that foundational knowledge, because as he learns and builds his math, he rests it on that principle, that ground level, that floor. That's his test. In other words, he says, I should always be able to test it against this. This should be true. Of course, there's theorems, there's postulates, there's axioms, there's whatever. And at the degree that what they represent about any particular domain, the autodidact who is outside of the script has to find confidence in base knowledge about any domain. So that's what he tests against. I know it sounds crazy because it's like, it's whatever, what the hell is you talking about? No, that's what I'm talking about. That's what it is. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm going to play this again. Listen to this professor. Listen to this professor now. He says he feels bad. He feels guilty. He's a culprit of it because he teaches at universities and he teaches stuff that ain't even going to matter to the students. And he has to come up with a fanciful way of challenging them and asking them questions and giving them exams about shit that ain't even going to matter so there can be some appearance of evaluation. You're smart. He's not. You're going to be a cum laude. You got a good GPA. Listen to what he says again.
I assume you do is say, well, I got to go learn those tools, and I was equipped to be able to learn those tools. So I think you're right. In a world in which you do not know what you'll be doing 5 years from now or 20 years from now, and a world in which so much knowledge is now at our fingertips, cramming your head full of facts and formulas is not the answer to managing the future. It's not even, it's self-evident that not the, but it's hard for the system to catch up, in part because the system is built on evaluation, right, of giving grades. And as an educator teaching at the University of Chicago, look, I'm the worst offender in the world. I need to somehow give some kids A's and some kids B's. And the easiest way to do that is to teach them things that don't matter in ways that are somewhat hard and overcomplicated so that I have a way to separate them out. And it's terrible, and I'm embarrassed about it, but it's what I do in my everyday life.
I think students would be lucky to have you as a professor because you're a very engaging storyteller, but also your ability to convey complex concepts. And
here's a university level professor telling you, saying it. I have to come up with ways of teaching these students about shit that don't matter so that we can have some evaluation. And I'm a culprit of it. I feel bad. I'm embarrassed. That's Steve Levitt. He's the author of Freakonomics. He's speaking to Ben Gomes or Ben Gomez, one of Google's chief technologist officers, CTOs, because I know y'all respect all that C shit in corporate America. But that's fine. Let's hear from Mark Zuckerberg. No, let's hear from Elon Musk. Let's hear from Elon Musk, because y'all love him. Everything I said is trash, is garbage. Maybe you'll change your
I'll be able to
mind.
pay it back.
Right.
That's not how life works anymore.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
You notice they use these maybes to describe what it might do for you. None of them are saying don't go to college. What they're saying is if your thing is the degree, you playing your fucking self. It ain't the degree. It's that go-get-itness. It's that autodidact shit. Yeah, it's that. Do you have the personality? Have you developed the skill or the practice or the regimen, even if you don't initially have it? Have you developed the temperament, the persona, to go outside of what's being told to you to study, to go outside the curriculum, to go outside the syllabus, to read additionally, to research more than what they're saying to do to get that grade? If that's not you, that don't mean don't go to college. That just means your degree ain't shit. I say it for you, for the lack of better words. It ain't shit. It ain't the difference maker. That's what they telling you, man. That shit don't mean nothing. I've been blessed that I had that fucked up gene in me, that autodidact protein or enzyme or RNA or DNA or helix or whatever it was, that glitch. I was blessed with that glitch. because they couldn't even force me to read some of that dumbass shit they was telling me. And everybody else in the classroom was like, yeah, I wish I would try to remember which river is the longest. I wish the hell I would write down 10 times each the name of some goddamn planets. My brain couldn't even make sense as a kid how that ties into any fucking thing. Like, no. No, I'm not. It's a no for me, even as a kid. Let's listen to Mark Zuckerberg one more time. Where's Mark Zuckerberg? Here we go. There you go. He's at a college in Virginia. Listen to this wonderful question. This is a wonderful question, too. Here we go.
How you doing? My name is Tolly McMillan. I'm a sophomore political science student
Yes.
from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, next governor. But my question to you, I want to thank you for coming here. My question for you, do you think a bachelor's degree with your experience with college and everything, do you think a bachelor's degree is a necessary key to attaining success?
Ooh, I am not your role model on this one.
This was 7 years ago. What you heard Elon Musk said was 8 years ago. So don't nobody bore me with your quick thinking. Oh, they just saying that because of AI. Motherfucker, that was 8 years ago. This 7 years ago. They're not asking these questions in the context of the advent of AI. That ain't what this is. But you heard what Mark Zuckerberg said. I am not your role model. He's letting them know it's a no. He's really saying no. If you're just talking about the degree, no. But if you're talking about the degree and you, if you're talking about getting the degree and mixing you, the individual, there's a difference that can come out of that. There's a make a difference that can come out of that. That's true. But the degree is going to get you the interview. It is. Why? You're going to put a suit on. You're going to look nice. You're going to comb your hair. You're going to brush your teeth. You're going to have all these fancy words on your resume. You're going to get the interview. Your personality, your cadence, your presentation, your articulate, how you sound or whatever, it'll get you to the next step. That's where they're going to knock your dumb ass off. That's where they find out you can't think. That's where they find out you didn't do any projects. You didn't create anything. You don't have nothing to show us. You basically did, and every time they ask you something, you tell me what the school had you do. You tell us what the school said. You said, I think we worked on. That's that box cart thinking. Same person, same school, same degree that got that autodidact in them. When they get on there, they say, well, you know, my mother, she was in the church. Or I used to go to church with my wife or my girlfriend or my sisters. And I asked the pastor one time, how do y'all keep enrollment? Do y'all have a website? Y'all have forms? And I let them know, you know what? I'm into technology. We learning something about some Python. Python is good for such and such. And I asked them, could I volunteer to work on a project where they have spreadsheets, and then I could take those spreadsheets and turn it into Excel web services and put it in some type of MySQL database, which is probably free and cheap, that comes with their hosting package for their website, whatever. That shit is going to speak volumes. That's going to speak volumes. They're going to be sitting there saying, okay, write something down about this guy. But if you sit there on the interview on that second part, because your personality, your religion, your skin color, your fucking height, the way your hair is, the color of your eyes, get you to the actual second level. And you show up like the return of the fucking mummy. Well, in our school, well, I do remember in our class, this is how these motherfuckers sound. That's how they sound. The ones we call them bright and smart. These some dumb motherfuckers. Unless there's a shortage of robots. then you hire them. If you're looking for non-thinkers, they're going to hire you. They are. But if they're looking for somebody that has initiative, go outside of what the school said. Every time they open their mouth, they're not talking about what the class did. You ain't getting that job. You can forget that shit. But let's finish listening to what Mark Zuckerberg said 8 years ago.
Front, Mark.
How you doing? My name is Tolly McMillan. I'm
Hey.
a sophomore political science student from the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Next governor. But my question to you, I want to thank you for coming here. My question for you: do you think a bachelor's degree, with your experience with college and everything, do you think a bachelor's degree is a necessary key to attaining success?
Ooh, I am not your role model on this one. Yeah, absolutely. Stay in school. Look. I think it helps. I loved the time that I spent in college. I wish I could have gotten more time. I did not choose to leave. I just happened to build Facebook, and it kind of made me leave. But if I had the opportunity to learn for 2 more years in college, I mean, college is this magical time, right, where you get to explore different interests and focus on different things, and meet great people. And that is not something that I would have wanted to have given up. And if I could have magically if I could have done Facebook in my senior year, I would have done that. Or after I left, I would have done that, and I wish I could have stayed in college. But and of course, there's
You hear what he's saying in essence? College is great for social engineering. College is wonderful for humanity. College is necessary because human beings are social animals, and we're put here to procreate, and a large part of that procreation that is dependent on is engagement, interaction, face-to-face. He ain't said shit about your opportunity. Nothing. He not going to hire your ass. You can't get a job at fucking Facebook following why he just said you would go to college. They not hiring them people. You know who they hiring? The people who didn't go to the party. That's who they hired. You know who else they hired? The people that even if they went to the party, they went with other people who was into what they was into. They hiring the people that's sitting somewhere tricking off, buying some fucking whatever from the opposite sex or the same sex, but still having a conversation about their passion, what they do. That's all. It ain't you got to be a hermit stuck in a hole and nobody sees you. Nah. If you a guy and you like being around women, get around the other women who are into developing and coding and learning technology if that's your domain. Medicine, if you into health. Law, if you into that. So that whatever fun you're having, you still got that little supportive air, and you can have those conversations and you can do deep dives. But again, that can be developed, it can be learned. But for many people, it's in them. I got a brother. 10 fucking jobs in 6 years. Listen to what I'm saying. 10, grown-ass man, over 40. 10 jobs in 6 years, and not on purpose. You know why he had 10 jobs in 6 years? And this shit ain't had nothing to do with COVID. I'm going to tell you why. My brother got a personality that will land him places his character won't let him stay. I say it again for you non-thinkers, and if you're under 25, you slow-minded motherfuckers. My brother has a personality that will land him places that his character won't let him stay. That means my brother can get a job anywhere. One thing this dude is good about is getting a job. Problem is, he can't stay there more than 3 or 4 months working it. His character shows up and gets him fired. He done told my sister, my sister is still living. I think God lets her live to listen to all her siblings' lies. He done told my sister everything from civil rights violation. I wasn't tall enough. They didn't like me. I ain't like the way they talked to me. They thought I moved too slow. I wanted to work over every excuse you could come up with. Again, that's persona. He has the ability to get a job. I told my brother, you should open up a temp agency. You get the clients, the positions at the companies, but you don't work them. You send somebody in with that skill set. You're the temp agency. That's what I told him. That's what you should do. So all I'm saying is, back to a Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Steve Levitt, the professor. This is a professor saying that he feels guilty about this.
I got to go learn those tools, and I was equipped to be able to learn those tools. So I think you're right. In a world in which you do not know what you'll be doing 5 years from now or 20 years from now, and a world in which so much knowledge is now at our fingertips, cramming your head full of facts and formulas is not the answer to managing the future. It's not even, it's self-evident that not the, but it's hard for the system to catch up, in part because the system is built on evaluation, right, of giving grades. And as an educator teaching at the University of Chicago, look, I'm the worst offender in the world. I need to somehow give some kids A's and some kids B's. And the easiest way to do that is to teach them things that don't matter in ways that are somewhat hard and overcomplicated so that I have a way to separate them out. And it's terrible, and I'm embarrassed about it, but it's what I do in my everyday.
All right. I'm going to end with that, man. I'm going to end with that. Like I say, if it's a lie being told, maybe Mark Zuckerberg is telling a lie. Maybe Steve Levitt is telling a lie. Maybe Ben Gomez is telling a lie. Maybe Elon Musk was on here lying. And of course, I'm lying. So all of us just on here lying. It ain't don't go to college. It ain't don't get the degree. It's just that the degree is not enough. You have to take that degree that's printed out and looks like a 2D image laying on the table, and you have to blow helium in it like it becomes a balloon and it can float. How do you blow helium in a 2D printout of a certificate so it looks 3D and it has motion and it's fluid? It's going beyond what's required. It's reading more outside in addition to. It's spending the time. It's developing a regimen. It's a practice. It's a habit. It's all of those things that's not covered in your grant, in your scholarship. It's all of those things that the school not going to teach you. They don't even care if you don't have it. It's not even a requirement. All right, anyway, guys, it's your boy Talk Williams, host and creator what? Hip Hop 50th. I'm going to say peace to everybody. And maybe, where's that again? Maybe I can, if I can get back over here to this monitor. Oh. I can't get to my monitor. I was going to end with my little AI taking your jobs thing, but I can't get to, oh, there we go. Is this it? Maybe. And all this is in AI. I like this. I like this. I made this with Udio. which is a
I draw jewels like circuits. This is why I tell you, algorithms are quick to take the jobs overnight. Management smiling and cutting over costs. The workforce grinding the paycheck loss. I analyze patterns, this shift in demand. Machines clock in, no sweat on their hand. From the factory floor, the newsroom, BAI. Spitting copy clean, that is obsolete. AI taking your job. Better settle, stay sharp. AI's taking your job. Gotta hustle, play smart. AI taking your job. Don't get left in the dark. AI's taking your job. Time to build, leave a mark. Let's counter the service, used to the E25. That way chatbot replies and keeps the line alive. Truckers riding solo with the wheel in their hand. Autonomous control, running routes through the land. Knockers double check scans, machines catch what they miss. Diggle pre-structured fast and pedal assist. It's a paradigm shift, tech revolution evolved.